I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that most of my viewers are from the US, and if you've been even remotely related to US political circles on the internet, you should know who Ben Garrison is by now. If you don't, he makes terrible comics about how racism is good, the US is super good, and other typical political artist takes. I don't look at political comics intentionally very often because I'm not 70, and leftists with artistic talent tend to take YIF commissions instead. For a good while, the worst political cartoonist I'd ever seen was Benny Boy, and for good reason, but I never planned to do a video about him, or any political comics really. I don't find analyzing bad takes very interesting, because there's only so many ways I can say stop liking war crimes before I sound redundant, and I'm pretty sure anyone watching would be bored to tears the whole time. That changed a week ago, though, when I heard of a weapon to surpass Ben Garrison. Impossible, I thought. The technology was lost centuries ago, but alas, I saw the horrible truth. Someone out there really did do it, and in the process created what I can only describe as family circus for people who put their hands on their wallets whenever they walk past a kebab shop. This is the most baffling, brain-dead, awful cartoon I've ever read. Most of the comics don't have jokes, even if they claim to, and even if they do, the joke is usually that Arabs are scary. The art is straight out of MS Paint adventures, the politics are a nearly incomprehensible mass of Israeli nationalism and vague hatred of foreigners and other Jews with the wrong think. Yeah, you heard me right. This topic is funny enough to me that I'm committing the devil's folly in talking about Israel on the internet. Welcome to the Dry Bones episode. Dry Bones is an Israeli political cartoon that's been going since the year 5 BG, before Garfield, making it nearly 50 years old. The only way you're going to see this comic is through one of the 8 trillion websites that our cartoonist, Yakov has provided for his fans. The first thing you'll notice about these websites is that they all look like they were made in GeoCities. I can't tell when the main website was actually made because instead of a publishing date that would be actually useful, the website reads off the system date and displays that instead. But the blog archive goes back to 2005, for as good as that does when the archive only displays the first couple pages a month before the formatting fucks up. I'm not gonna get onto an 80-year-old for being bad at HTML programming, but I will get onto an 80-year-old for not using any of the several $1,000 donations he asks for every year to hire a college student at some shitty tech school to rewrite the bitch. We'll get back to those donations in a bit, because they're very entertaining. Once you navigate the hell site to the actual comments, you'll be shocked to see, wow, there's some really bad shit here. I've been poring over this site for about 3 hours straight at time of writing, and I have no idea where to start, so let's just go to where the website dumps you off. So here's a comic of a policeman kneeling on someone's neck with the caption, "Big Tech with its neon free speech." I just wanted to get that one on screen first so that if anyone felt bad about me making fun of an 82-year-old, they absolutely should not. Here's a comic of a strange goblin lady that the creator made up to be mad at, saying that she should dox Trump supporters? Thinking about the future. There are sore losers, and then again, there are sore winners. Yeah, so if you can figure out what this comic is trying to say, please post it in the comments below. Email me at geographygo@gmail.com, you know the deal. Here we have anti-Semitic thugs on both sides. Anti-Semitic thugs are infiltrating the protests of both sides. Anti-Semitic thugs on the American left and right. So in case it wasn't clear, the cartoonist thinks that there are anti-Semitic thugs on. Here we have Donald Trump splitting the Red Sea, except it's green, and on both sides, in Comic Sans, it says anti-Trump and pro-Trump. Trump looks like a fucking cryptid. Here's some tags. Let's check out Antifa. Oh boy, he's got some real bad takes on here, doesn't he? Here's Mr. Yakov's take on George Floyd, which he... What the fuck? Okay, so he says that our enemies are saying that George Floyd was Palestinian so that they can take shots at Israel? And he does this by drawing George Floyd piss yellow with "Kill Jews" on his head jumping out of a Jack-in-the-Box with some uncredited JPEG behind him and some dude? So yeah, if you can figure out what this comic is trying to say, please post it in the comments below, send it to geographygo@gmail.com, you know the deal. A really close friend from America was visiting us and saw this cartoon. He's politically savvy, sharp, and intelligent, but his reaction to the cartoon shocked me. He was unaware of the anti-Semitism of the left. He'd never heard of the violent Antifa movement, and he was ignorant of the anti-Semitism of the Black Lives Matter organization. Most of his information comes from mainstream media, and he's been guided to the politically correct stance of American Jewish groups. I took the opportunity to sell him a copy of my brand new Dry Bones anthology, Dry Bones, Cartoons Fight Back. That led me to think that maybe I should be selling you a copy, either for you or for you to pass on to a similarly uninformed friend. If you want to back and support us, please click on the link below. Help support us. Donate to Dry Bones and the blog through PayPal. Turkey is crushing the Kurds. China is crushing Hong Kong. Please donate to my comic. Want to buy my course on Hebrew? We're scared, loyal viewer, not because of the deadly pandemic, but at the thought that you don't know how to donate to Dry Bones. Oh damn, Israel is having some bad wildfires. Bet it was some dirty Arab. Anyway, I need $100,000 every year, and the Bible said that 36 people are going to save the world when the end times come, so I need those 36 people to all donate $3,000 to keep my comic going, and I need you to do that every year. I think you get why I wanted to look at this comic now. Yakov is a bad take machine that fluctuates between whining about cancel culture and openly supporting genocide. He's a conspiracy nut, a Trump fanboy, a rabid nationalist, and half of his comics read like bad persecution complex fodder, while the other half read like Phase 6. I could honestly go on for hours about each comic on this awful site, and someday I might stream me going down the various rabbit holes, but I'd like to focus in on our pal Yakov's favorite posts he's ever made in the sidebar. If only for the purposes of, I can't be fucked to read this guy's entire life work when the website is actively fighting me. We have 8 posts here, one of which he liked enough to list twice, so let's start with that one. Political correctness caused 9/11 is not a take I would have expected to see today, but this comic has sent me in all sorts of new directions, and I shouldn't be surprised at this point. Yakov's take this time is that the US's racial profiling system that discriminates against Middle Easterners is totally necessary, and the PC crowd can suck it, man, Yakov says, while currently living in the Middle East. Democracy! With a title like that, it has to be good. Ah yeah, that's the good shit right there. Arabs need to be subjugated and colonized because otherwise they'll elect leaders that don't like colonialism. Thanks, Yakov. Your mind is a beautiful enigma. Sometimes I don't go for funny. Yakov, we figured that out 20 comics ago. The Egyptian. So yeah, if you can figure out, but none of this holds a candle. Not a single flame. To the one, the only. Time, grime, and slime. On the day this cartoon appeared, I received a personal message from Time magazine. A colleague at the Jerusalem Post, who also worked for Time, was instructed to tell that bastard if he ever thought he'd get into Time magazine, he can forget it now. Years later, I received a call from a Time correspondent who was thinking of doing a full-page profile on Dry Bones. As I trotted out to meet him at a local watering hole in Jerusalem, my then wife said, as if talking to a child, "Don't mention Time, grime, slime." After a fabulous pre-interview, with the guy from Time scribbling on a yellow legal pad and mumbling, "This is great stuff," and me downing Black Russians between pontificating, he smiled at me and confided that he had a special Dry Bones cartoon which he kept hidden in his desk drawer at Time Jerusalem's office. Quick as a shot, I guessed. Time, grime, and slime? The silence of his response was deafening. He'd forgotten about my vicious slandering of Time magazine. Later, when I returned home, and my then wife asked how it went, I said, "I mentioned Time, grime, slime." All she said was, "I knew you would." I don't want to be one of those idiots who asks people to like and subscribe every other second, but if you could share this video with some people that haven't seen it, that'd be pretty cool. Also, I'm going to start answering comments, asking questions if anyone has any at the end of the video, because why not? Drop them if you want. Research for History of Nauru is coming along, but there's a bit of a roadblock, so I'm shelving that one until further notice. There's basically no good source on the pre-colonial history of the island that I could find, and I want the video to be comprehensive, because finding anything about the island's history outside of the incomplete Wikipedia article is really hard. Other than that, I have one other small video that I'm working on that needs a bit more time to cook. Stay tuned.
Rattle me bones!